The bowlers couldn't defend 370 on the final day. The batters, especially the lower order, failed to turn up, barely making any runs through the length of the test. And also through the length of the test, India dropped catches which amounted to more than 200 runs cost. Where did India really lose the Leeds test? That's the question we're asking on ESPN Cricinfo Runorder. We've got the regulars in Dustin and George. We've got Vithushan, who was at Headingley to witness that test. And we have been graced on run order for the first time by another man who was at Leeds in Siddharth Monga. Gentlemen, so good to have you all. Wish, I'm going to give you first strike.
I'm going to say it was the batters' fault because while they did score a lot of runs, they left a few out there, especially when you see the makeup of that team and how reliant they are on that top order. And secondly, the batters were the ones who dropped the catches. So for me, it's the batting and the batters that were at fault.
All right, George.
I'm going to say it was the bowlers, but with the bat. Because, you might think that India overachieved by scoring 800 runs in the test, and they did. But given the positions they got to, they needed more than 60 runs from their last 6 batters across both innings. That was quite terrible.
Damning collapses in both innings. Dustin.
I'm going to say it was the bowling and captaincy on day 5 because even after everything, the collapses, dropped catches, you should be able to defend 370. India didn't get their plans right on day 5. That's why they lost.
Okay, man of the moment, Monga.
It's a little difficult to give a straightforward answer to such a complicated question because it was one of the weird tests where I believe the side that bowled and batted better for longer ended up losing. It's just that when they slipped up, those mistakes just proved to be catastrophic for India. When the tail, as George said, the bowlers with the bat lost India the test. It's okay. You can get out for cheap when you're the tail or even a proper batter, but it was the kind of shots that they were playing, especially with the batter at the other end, that was the problem.
Can I just say the sense of philosophy is inversely proportional to those shades you've got on right now? Incredible. Who wants to take this forward?
It's a bright English summer.
Okay, in the first innings, they collapsed, playing the shots they did. But then to make the same mistakes as Monga said, Prasidh skying one up in the air, Bumrah trying to play the booming drive, Shardul playing expansive drives in both innings.
Yeah, and it does feel like a more valid point because this was getting to bat in favorable batting conditions versus Dustin. If you're arguing the bowlers and what they did on day 5, the task was still going to be cut out for them because it's not like it had got really challenging to bat on.
Yeah, fair, but I mean, how often has 370 been chased in a test? And if you look at how India bowled on the final day, they had a good first spell with Bumrah and Siraj. There was pressure building up. And then Prasidh Krishna and Shardul Thakur just bowled either side of the wicket, all sorts of different lengths. And then the other thing that I brought up was the captaincy and just the lack of intensity from India. I think they kind of gave up after the first partnership, to be honest. I mean, if you look at after India took those 4 wickets that they actually took in a cluster, got themselves back in the game. After that point, Jasprit Bumrah bowled 3 overs in the test. He just didn't bowl after that. Mohammad Siraj didn't bowl at all until right at the end with the new ball. Even after getting Stokes out, okay, by then it was massively in England's favour. But 69 to win, 5 wickets left, and India bowled Jadeja from one end and Prasidh and Shardul from the other. It was like they were waiting for the new ball.
I just want to jump in and want to cut some slack to Shubman Gill, this is only his 6th first-class match as captain. He has no experience of captaining, and he's playing. He was at one of the most idiosyncratic grounds of the world where where bowlers are having to run up and down. The slips are a couple of feet below the pitch level where the catches went down, and he's also having to deal with a bowling attack which is built of one world beater, one very good bowler, and 2 who are very inexperienced. He has had all kinds of challenges thrown at him in his first test as captain, with all the collapses also happening. So I would just want to cut him a little slack, but the most glaring thing, Dustin, was how Mohammad Siraj, just because he did not take a wicket, and Shardul Thakur took 2 wickets, in the final 2 sessions of the match, Shardul got preference to Mohammad Siraj, and Siraj didn't bowl at all from overs 42 to 80. That's 39 overs plus a couple of rain breaks. So there's a lot of time for Siraj to be fresh. That point made by Gautam Gambhir might sound like an excuse, but it's a very important point that the side does not have the experience.
I'm going to take those points and rule the captaincy and the tactical angle out as far as the winning vote on this is concerned, because I think we'll agree around the room that first game for a new group, for a new captain, for a new leadership group. So that point is out. I am going to raise almost individually the point around fielding, because the amount of catches we've seen dropped without singling out any individuals in terms of how much it cost India.
Apart from Jaiswal running in, most of the catches went down at gully from
Yeah.
slip / gully from this end where the bowler is running downhill, which means the fielders are about at least 1 to 2 feet below the pitch level, so the ball gets big on you. If you remember the catch that KL Rahul took, was it who was the batter? KL Rahul took a beautiful catch.
Crawley, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was surprised, and he had to go up like a wicket keeper like this. So and that experience of KL Rahul being a wicket keeper has kind of helped. Karun Nair also, he was going down for the catch and he was on his knees, he ended up taking it overhead. And it's not just Indian fielders, the England fielders also dropped in the same position.
The thing is, the drop catches happen. Like, fielders don't drop catches on purpose. As in, you can't question their application when the catch is dropped. Like they're still going for that catch.
So the point here, George, which is important to point out, the point is not about the purpose. No one drops it on purpose.
Yeah.
The point is on the impact on end outcome. And there hasn't been a test in England in 20 years where a team has dropped as many catches. So the effect on the result is quite direct.
Yeah, but I'd still say that, see, in the first innings, the bowlers still earned India a 7-run lead, But now the top order also needs to now realize that, hey, this is the situation. This is what our lower order is capable of. And be mindful of not, if they are lucky enough, if they apply themselves enough to get in and score those 80s, 90s, and 100s, to not then give it away.
There was this phase after tea on day 4 when you thought India were going to accelerate and try to, get 100 quick runs and put England in. Where, I mean, I know it's a big moment for Karun Nair, it's a comeback and everything, but at some point, you've got to forget your personal situation and play the situation of the match. Even if you look at the way Karun reacted to getting out, it was like he was so upset. But the situation of the match was you got to score quickly. India score another 40, 50 quick runs there, and then the bowlers' batting doesn't matter as much.
You just need to bat normally for another hour, and the runs will come, because these days, if you bat normally for an hour, you will get your 40 runs.
No, but then it would have been a draw, right? Because India wouldn't have taken the 10 wickets anyway on day 5. So you're saying that India should have drawn this test, not won it.
That would be a great result. Because ideally,
it wouldn't have been a great result. It wouldn't have been a great result because, as you said, the better team lost. The better team would have drawn.
So it would have been better than losing. Yeah.
But
ideally,
can't be going for a draw. When you've got 470 in the first innings, your attitude cannot be, let's draw this test match, especially knowing that Bumrah is only going to play 3 tests.
Again, so for me, the takeaway is India have now played 2 baseball tests in England and got burnt in the same way both times. So hopefully their batters will learn that 450 may not be enough. They got to make it 600.
Absolutely. It was a 600 wicket.
Okay.
And the bowling attack. This is if India are looking for a positive note, they just need to look at England bowling attack, and it was worse than India's. If the conditions remains the same, India should back themselves to find themselves again in a situation where they are 450 for 4 and then not give it away.
We will see how it pans out, but we will close this out with a final vote. Let's see if we get majority. What cost India the Leeds test? Wish.
The batters.
George.
Batters.
Dustin.
Bowlers and drop catches.
What is Monga doing?
Monga has an answer for us.
The cost for the loss was in your frame. It's one of those things.
There can be no better close. Thank you, Monga, for gracing us. Thank you, everyone. This was Runorder.
Her name is Autumn.
Sure.